Hello, this is Trish Kelly. Welcome to the Military Dependent Data Mini Webinar. As you know, our work is grounded in academics, student readiness, and educators. Our agenda today will begin with background information. Next, we'll turn to the military dependent student classifications, and they will be the bulk of our discussion this session. We'll discuss the 3 student classifications: active duty military dependent 4, National Guard Military Dependent 5, Reserve Military Dependent 6. We'll also touch on 3 frequently asked questions and review how to use the Student Classifications Research Query to check your data. We'll conclude with suggestions to improve data quality and contact information. We will start with background information. This collection is designed to help LEAs identify students with parents or guardians who serve in the military, as well as better able to assess their performance in school and to better understand the relationship between military life and child development. Both state and federal educational leaders promote these goals. At the state level, we have legislation that requires districts to identify students whose parents or guardians serve in the military. At the federal level, under ESSA, there are regulations which require that students with parents or guardians in active duty military service are a subgroup for assessment reporting. At the LEA level, it's important that you collect the data through your registration and enrollment procedures. If you do not collect military dependent status currently through enrollment or enrollment procedures, please use a survey to collect the data for the current school year and then go ahead and add the collection to your enrollment process for the next school year. The military dependent student classifications are the heart of the collection. And again, as I said earlier, there are 3 of them, and these identify students whose parents or guardians serve in the military: active duty military 4, National Guard military 5, and Reserve military dependent 6. Students are coded with the 4 active duty military dependent student classification when they have a parent or guardian on full-time duty in the military. That is full-time duty in the armed forces, including the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, or Coast Guard, or full-time duty in the National Guard, or full-time duty in the Reserve. So again, the key here is full-time status. Students are coded with the 5 National Guard military dependent student classification when they have a parent or guardian who participates in the National Guard on a part-time basis. Likewise, students are coded with the 6 Reserve military dependent student classification when they have a parent or guardian who participates in the reserves on a part-time basis. And again, by reserves, I mean reserves of any of the branches of the armed services that we discussed earlier: Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, or Coast Guard. We often are asked 3 frequently asked questions, so we'll discuss them here. First, what if both parents or guardians serve in the military and have the same status? Well, in this case, the student is coded once with the appropriate student classification: 4 active duty military dependent, 5 National Guard military dependent, or 6 Reserve military dependent. Frequently asked question 2. What if both parents or guardians serve in the military and do not share the same status? In this case, the student is coded with both student classifications. For example, 4 active duty military dependent and 5 National Guard military dependent, or 4 active duty military dependent and 6 Reserve military dependent, or 5 National Guard military dependent and 6 Reserve military dependent. Our third and final frequently asked question: what if a student is enlisting in the military? Recall that the classifications refer to the status of the student's parent or guardians. The classifications do not apply to students enlisting in the military. The Student Classifications Research Query. This is the key tool for checking your data in EIS. So you will log in as a district or school user, select Data Reports and Research Queries. From the Research Query list, choose the Student Classifications Research Query. Year is 2024 for the 24-25 school year. From the Student Classifications drop-down box, select the Military Dependent Student Classification of Interest. For example, select Active Duty Military Dependent 4 for students with parents or guardians on active duty service. To run the query, select View Report. Typically, you'll want to download to a CSV or Excel format. To do so, choose the file icon to the right of Find Next. The results follow a standard format. School and student identifiers are on the left. The variable of interest, in this case, the 4 active duty military dependent student classification, is on the right. The query results will include a record for each student who's been flagged with that student classification. Suggestions to improve data quality. Thoughts here. First, it's collaboration is important. So regularly get together with the other folks in your district who work with these data. That would include attendance, EIS, and federal program staff. Also, frequently check your data in your student information system and in EIS and upload revisions as needed. Often what you'll find is data that you're seeing in your SIS might not have uploaded to EIS. So it's important, again, to choose that student classification query to ensure that all the data you have entered in SIS has appeared in EIS. Sorry about that. Advanced forward. Additional resources. There are some resources that might be helpful to you, both at the Military Child Education Coalition, MCEC website, as well as the Department of Education. And the links are provided there for you. Finally, some contact information. If you have questions about coding the military dependent data, please contact me, trish.kelly@tn.gov. On the other hand, if you have questions about EIS errors and restaging problems, contact the District Technology Support Team at dt.support@tn.gov. Thank you very much for joining this session. I hope it was helpful to you. And again, please contact me if you have any questions.